What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jordan Sterling. We're back here with the B3FL official podcast. So, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of congested up in here. I got a little bit of a cold. I was tested for COVID, came back negative, but so I was feeling a little down in the dumps. That's why this episode's been a little bit delayed. It's too bad because I have so much stuff I wanted to do for this week, but I haven't been able to get it done. So, we're going to get through it. There's a lot of stuff. It's playoffs. Huge. This is what everybody's been waiting for all year is the playoffs, and we're finally here. And we've got some really great matchups to dive into. Lots of action last week. And then we'll get into what the playoff picture is looking like and what the teams are, how they're shaping up and how the matchups are going to be. So lots of great stuff to get into it. So I want to start today off with the primetime game from last week, and that was me, the number one seed, versus Jordan Ivany, who was the hottest team by like a large margin. He had won like 6 straight games, or 5 or 6 straight games, and it was just wrecking people. Last week, came out a little soft, and looking at his lineup, when we go into the lineup. And you go into the bench, you realize that he was missing some key players, especially Jonathan Taylor, who's the number one running back overall in the whole league, and he was missing him. So Ivany was really punished because he doesn't have a lot of depth on his team. After basically whoever plays, there's basically nobody to fill in and sub in case guys get hurt or they're sick or whatever. So he was kind of forced to play Alexander Madison, where Dalvin Cook was announced that he was healthy and he was playing. Now Jordan Ivany was also on vacation. He was down getting suntanned in the Dominican Republic, so maybe he missed it. Not sure. Anyways, he stuck, and so Alexander Madison just didn't pull through, and the lack of depth was just really obvious here. He didn't strategize for his buys very well, so it really came through, and it kind of punished him. Actually, like quite a bit, because he only lost by 5 points. So, my team mostly healthy. I was missing DeAndre Swift, who normally starts for me. He's normally definitely in my starting rotation. But I was still able to put up 117 points when the average in this league is like 95. 117 is going to win most games. But when you're talking about the best players, you're going to have to put up a little bit more. So I think this could be a preview of what's going to happen in the championship. And we'll get into the playoff picture and how that was all structured in a little bit. But yeah, so Jordan Ivany, you sucked. You could have done a little bit better if your team was structured better. But you get a lot of help. You got a lot of help from Mike Bell this year. That blockbuster trade, and I'm gonna have you on the show because we're gonna talk about that because that was heated to say the least. So, let's move into some other games in this league though. We've got some games I want to highlight. Is Grugel, he ended up beating Zach Lang. Marty pulling off a huge win, 130 points. Just absolutely stomped. Kalen loves the Dallas Cowboys, and he was led by Dalvin Cook, George Kittle, and Aaron Rodgers. Those 3 players really just elevated his team, as he didn't get much production out of his main running backs, and to be honest, his receiving core. So basically, he had 3 players. If you tally them up, they almost get him to a win single-handedly. Kalen loves the Dallas Cowboys. Played Tyler Higbee, who didn't get any receptions, but as a tight end, I'm expecting maybe them to get in a non-PPR. They might get 4 points at most, unless obviously you're the top 2 or 3. There's probably 3 tight ends that get more. But if you're not one of those, then it just sucks. So there was a lot of gaps. You didn't have the explosive plays like Marty did, and it punished you. You had the Titans defense, but that was basically it. So. You did not make playoffs, which I guess kind of sucks. But so this game didn't really mean much in terms of like moving around people. But some other games I want to go around, and I want to look at Jake Sucks. He played Matt Daly. So Ryman played Matt Daly, and Matt actually crushed him. Matt scored 125 points, which was a beautiful day. But he didn't need to do that much because Ryman hasn't been doing well lately. The last 2 weeks, he's actually been the lowest scorer in this league. And that's not the trending you want to have going into playoffs. I think that trending matters so much in fantasy football because playoffs are basically just like you get hot at the right time. You structure your team around playoffs, and you'll do very well as long as you get in. So Ryman is in, but he's now trending down. And he basically got no help by this lower half, like the receivers, tight ends, flex, kicker. He got no help in this game. Stephon Diggs was the only person who scored more, I guess, out of those four positions who scored more than 2 points. That you're not going to win any football games doing that. And unfortunately, the bench isn't much better. So we're looking at Ryman. I know Ryman plays Omar this week. He's got to figure out. Hopefully, his team can turn it around. It's probably too little, too late. Maybe he can snag someone off free agents, but they're kind of picked over by now. And the team that you have is kind of the team that you go with now moving forward. So, Ryman, I don't know what to tell you, dude, but at the very least you're playing Omar. So, Matt Daly just absolutely crushed it. 125 points. You're gonna win a lot of games, but now it's playoffs, so you're only playing the best teams. And Matt Daly really was led by his Chiefs defense. And who scored almost 40 points, almost got a whole 40 burger. So massive game for Matt Daly as a whole. It's got to feel good moving into playoffs. So, and then lastly, I actually want to talk about the Farm League's top prospect, Dan Sterling, crushing Omar. Omar and Ryman, they play off they have the playoffs this week, and both of them look trash. They absolutely look awful. And it's too bad they have to play each other because I would have loved to play one of them rather than playing Jake. But I digress. Dan coming in with a huge win to finish the season at 5-9. Yeah, you're still in the bottom, but your team looks like it can pull something together. You put another week like this together next week, and the following week, and you'll stay in the top division. So, Omar, I don't know what you're doing starting players who are on the IR, but it hasn't been good. It hasn't looked good for you. It wouldn't have helped because the rest of your team is not that great. Other than Kamara, and getting him back is not enough for you to win these games. It's like, yes, you had some players on buys. Basically, just the New England offense was on a buy for you. But all of these players, they don't put up all that many points individually. So you'll get Keenan Allen back this week, which will be huge. And you'll get Stevenson back. But like when you look at Stevenson's trending, it's kind of boom or bust. He scored some double digits, but it hasn't been in the last 3-4 weeks. So we'll see. Yeah, and then so let's move. We'll just quickly look, and then we'll look at the playoffs just so you guys have an understanding of who's playing who. So the Swift Kick to the Nuts is playing Robbie Purr. So that's me versus Jake. Omar and Ryman play each other. And so I guess we'll take a step back. How this works is it's each division, very similar to the AFC and NFC in football, where they cross over and they'll play each other in regular season, but then they won't play each other in playoffs. So 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and it's the same for division number 2. So our commissioner has to go in and manually set this because normally it's just 1 versus 8, right? But here, Omar versus Ryman, and then in the division number 2, we have Scott versus Jer and I Chase Young Kids versus Play Boldly. But let's look at this constellation because this actually matters a lot, and normally I wouldn't talk about it, but because we have relegation, it means that there's going to be there is a chance to get relegated or anybody. There's a chance that anybody could stay in the top division. And how you stay in the top division is you have to make it to this week 17, right? So if you're, let's say you're Mike Bell or you're Dan, You'll have to win both your games in order to stay in the top in the top division. Kalen, the cameraman, has to just win one game because he'll get a bye here, so he just has to win this one to move on. Yeah, so that's what the playoff picture is looking like. We will come right back with the how the Farm League did last week and some potential movers and some huge upsets. All right, so moving into the Farm League, we're going to start with the game that everybody was watching, I guess, was Papa T versus Spread Cheeks. And this was a potential preview for the championship, as Tom, who statistically was the top team, he had the most wins, playing by far the hottest team probably in the entire league, both leagues, I guess, with Papa T. And Tom just kind of fell flat. No real big performances. He got a goose egg. Hold on, I'll pull up the teams. Got a goose egg by McLaurin, but I don't think it wouldn't have mattered. His team probably could have put up the best week of their life, and they still wouldn't have beat Papa T's 170 points. Just unbelievable. Papa T, all the way down through his roster, he's been a monster this year. And not to mention, he was missing his best player in Jonathan Taylor. I would be petrified running into this guy in the playoffs because I don't think that there's a person who can stop this man. His whole team is basically just a collection of people who like to score 20 points at the very minimum. He had an excellent draft. He's picked up some key free agents along the way, and now he's looking to make a huge run, a deep run into playoffs. And it starts with crushing Tom this week. But with this league, I have to say that last week there was an opportunity for Tom not to finish first, and that was it was Connor's game after Papa T put up 170 points. It was basically Connor who's the only person who could actually overtake Tom, and he had the head-to-head ratio. He just needed to beat Rick, a guy who hasn't changed his lineup since probably week 2 or week 3 at most. And you know what? Connor just couldn't get it done. His whole team kind of struggled. Lamar Jackson went off early. He left the game, I think, like at halftime or so, maybe a little bit before that. And the rest of his team just kind of no flashes of what they could do or who they should be. This is not how you want to start moving into playoffs. Rick had 2 guys put up 0 points, might I add, and still managed to score 110 points. Connor, dude, this is not good. This is not the momentum you want rolling in. You left Odell Beckham on your bench, but look, you lost by almost 40 points. You would need an actual revamp in order to catch Rick on this side, because this team right here that you're fielding, not great. They're not trending at the right time. And yes, Lamar Jackson getting hurt was a big that was huge. Because let's say he averages what? There's some huge games, there's some not ones, but even if he scores 20 points instead of 1, it means you're still down 20 points to fill out, and that's still a lot. So even if Lamar Jackson was perfectly healthy, you're still in hot water because Joe Mixon didn't do well, Judy didn't do well. Gronk actually had a fairly decent game, but Hopkins only scored 8. Defense, kicker. Like, I think 7s was should have been your average, and James Robinson absolutely shit the bed for you this week, only scoring 0.4 points. Yes, he got hurt, so it's that part sucks. Your team was a little ravaged by injuries, but there's nothing else inspiring here that says, you know what, yeah, I deserve to be number 1, right? You look at Papa T's team. Yes, that's absolutely his team, top to bottom, says, realistically, he probably should have finished first in the league. I look at Ty's team, Lambeau Leap Squad. I haven't mentioned him a lot, but he's just slowly racking wins, and his team looks like a team that deserves to be first. And all of these lower teams now have started scoring really, really high. So I kind of like seeing that we're starting to see the flip from the top 5 teams that were in the beginning of the year almost all the way through. The bottom 5 are now starting to come on and turn it on in the last little bit of the season. So I enjoyed watching that. I think it makes some excellent spoilers, and it makes the play, it levels out the playing field, makes the playing field close is what I was trying to say. But we're trying to level out the playing field a little bit, and I kind of like to see that. But Goddard, you had a chance to take out Tom. You didn't. Congratulations, Tom, for winning the thing. It hasn't been easy. You've had a whole bunch of teams just targeting you. You came with a big win, not last week, but the week before, where you beat the Alpha Legion. This game was absolutely critical for you. Because if you had lost that game, then I think that there's a good chance that somebody else uproots you. But no, you've played well all year. I think with 10 wins, that's an excellent record. You've earned this one. So the other game I wanted to highlight actually was the Fantasy Fisters, and this is a potential playoff scenario where Alex actually came out this game. He didn't play a kicker because he was feeling pretty confident. Mainly probably because his kicker was on a bye and he probably didn't want to drop anybody. Oh, no, his kicker wasn't on a bye. He probably picked them up, forgot to start them. Anyways, yeah, so Fantasy Fisters, you managed to upset Ty, who's a very good fantasy football player. And Ty's team is like the contrast between Ty and Connor is that most of Ty's players, at the very least, are scoring double digits. And then there's some flops, like Tyreek Hill only scored 9 points. Yeah, he's probably going to do a little bit better. So, looking at Ty's team, I feel much more confident in him making a run than I do in Connor's team, even though Connor was the only person left who had a chance to be in first. But Alex, I'm not going to take anything away from you here. You had a really good game. Quarterback, running back, receivers, top to bottom, did pretty well. Would have loved to see you play a kicker, but like you didn't need it, so that's okay. I didn't think it was going to be a kicker year anyways. So yeah, that's kind of what we were looking at for the farm league. Because some of the games didn't really matter all that much because we had there wasn't any chance of people swapping places. So if we look at the playoffs, how this is going to work is spread cheeks. Tom, you actually kind of get a bye, so we can't technically set it to 7 people. So what's going to happen is Jared's going to come in and just give large penis team. You're just going to get a 0 this week, regardless of how well your team does. Spread cheeks, you move on to the semifinal. And then everybody else here will have to play for a playoff spot. So if you win, or promotion, you win your playoff game, you will be promoted. That's just end of story. You'll finish in the top 4. You get promoted. So there's a chance that anybody here really could finish in the championship league or be in the championship league for next year. And even though it's like I'm looking at Quinnell Quicksand and I don't like your team. I think it's trash. And Zach, you barely squeaked into playoffs. I love that anybody could win. Alex, you're in for a doozy this week. And we have a full playoff breakdown coming up shortly. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to release that, but hopefully soon. This is what playoffs are looking like. I'm really excited to see how this shapes up. I think that this Lambeau Leap Squad effort wins might be close. If I don't think Rick's going to change his team, so Ty, if you can somehow manage to squeak out a win. Quinnell Quicksand and Yokiro Taco Bell, your teams are very uninspiring, but that's what makes for good football. I love when games are close. It just makes everything so much more exciting. So that's what I'm looking at for the Farm League. And so, yeah, we'll move on to our next segment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am here with the owner of Alpha Legion, Nate. Nate, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jordan. Honestly, I can't believe I'm sitting here talking to the owner of the B3FL podcast. Quite an honor.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad people have been tuning into this. It's been a wild ride. So, this has been your first year in the league. What have your thoughts been this year?
Well, it's quite a difficult year for me, as you could tell from the record. Bit of a trial by fire. Uh, I've actually never done fantasy football before. This is my first time. And on top of that, I really was not super into football before, so a lot of this is pretty new to me. Uh, Going to like the draft, for example, I didn't know a lot of these players. I had to do a lot of research, and I definitely made some mistakes. But I really like what's going on with the league right now. That's for sure. It's a lot of fun.
That's good to hear. Yet, it there fantasy football I've always found is a little bit of a steep learning curve. But then it's once you get it, it's kind of pretty easy to maintain. So, like for instance, a couple years ago, I finally was able to get Tom into fantasy football, and it basically shortly after kind of consumed his life. So
Oh yeah, I fully get that. In the beginning, before the draft, I was doing a little bit of stuff, but as soon as the season started, I went crazy a little bit. I was watching multiple YouTube channels about the waiver wires and the players, and I was watching all the games. This is the first year I watched more or less all the games on Sunday, going through red zone, getting the eye test on a lot of guys. That's really what I was missing at the start of the season.
absolutely, I get that. Have you found that looking up fantasy football stuff on YouTube has ruined your recommendations?
Yeah, it's kind of strange because they'll contradict each other even on some pretty common stuff. It's hard. You kind of have to take multiple sources of information and try to triangulate like the average between them. What's going to be the good advice? I'd say when it comes to that kind of stuff, you cannot treat it as gospel. Everything is a recommendation. You've got to be the one to make the call at the end of the day.
That's true. That's totally true. And I guess speaking of calls, of all the players on your teams, was there a single player that you thought was kind of a disappointment this year?
I'm going to be honest with you. It breaks my heart into a million pieces, but Dak was the biggest disappointment on my team this year by far. Way too many weeks where I really needed him to get like even close to his projection, and he got like 10 points. Just killed me some weeks.
Yep. Yeah,
Really
absolutely.
kills you when you see some guys like Kyler Murray getting like 30 points, 25 points. Like guys like Josh Allen getting 30 points, 20 points is like a floor. Really sucks.
Yeah, Dak has been pretty hot and cold. And then it's like he missed a whole game, which absolutely is just crushing for a quarterback because you absolutely need those. But if we're gonna switch into like the view of the league, which owner that you played against were you most surprised by?
Most surprised by early on in the season, I was pretty surprised when Papa T started going on his run because in the very beginning, I think he wasn't a 500 team. Didn't have a positive record by like week 3 or 4, something like that,
Yep.
and then just started winning. So I liked watching that. Another guy I was really surprised by was Pico. I think he was around the middle, and he finished, I think, in second.
Yep. Yeah, he finished in second
I
just
thought that was
behind
pretty
Tom.
impressive.
He had a chance last week to uproot Tom in the number one spot, but couldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, so looking at the owners, is there somebody you're cheering for in playoffs?
In playoffs, I'd say I'm cheering for Fantasy Fisters and for Pico's team. Sorry, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is it Quesno? Quizno?
He says
Quizno?
it's Quinnell, but it should be Quesno.
Okay.
It's supposed to be French. So and I know that his girlfriend gets really upset if you pronounce the S.
Okay. I'm just gonna call him the quicksand. It's a bit easier for me.
Yeah. So and then lastly, before I let you go, do you have any message to the league about next year? Like, how are you guys going to handle this offseason?
Well, I'm gonna try to do my best to analyze what happened this year and take lessons from it. I think the biggest thing about fantasy football is that I don't think you could just come at it from the analytical perspective and win. There's so much more like uh, intangibles that go into it. If you're just That's the one biggest lesson I learned this year is you can't just look at the projections. You can't just look at who the big guys are. There's a lot of things that fill in the cracks that you got to consider. Like I never saw Melvin Gordon going the whole year without losing his timeshare to Javonte Williams, for example.
Right.
A lot of people said that wasn't going to happen, and he still held it up this year. So just one of the things you can consider.
Absolutely. I totally agree. The fantasy football can be so complex that there's quite a learning curve. So we're happy to have you in the league. It's great that you've taken such initiative into this. So one thing I want to talk about briefly before we let you go is there's the rumor mill has started talking about a potential website. I'm wondering if you could maybe elaborate a little bit on it, like if there's maybe a vision.
Yeah, so for a website, we just started thinking that maybe it'd be nice to have a kind of one-stop shop to keep records of the league over time, things like that. We've been talking, at least I've been hearing that we were considering maybe leaving NFL.com, so we can't just use a single place to keep all this information. I was thinking we could have like fun things like keeping all the archived podcasts in one place. We could have pages about the GMs so people can see funny information. A homepage where you can have links to the different leagues and make it really easy. You could just go to the website and quickly click something and see the championship league and the other league, stuff like that.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to think about this a little bit more. I'm gonna put a shout out to if people in the league have ideas on what they want to see. By all means, reach out to Nate, me, Jared, whoever. Put it in the group chat. Because this will be hopefully a representation of the league as a whole. So we need all hands on deck for ideas. We have lots of ideas, guys, in this group. So this is where it's your time to shine.
Yeah, get those ideas coming.
Awesome.
Gotta
all right.
Be, community thing.
Awesome. All right, Nate. Well, I'm not going to take any more of your time. Thanks for coming on the show. It's been great having you. I mean, it's a little disappointment in your team this year, but you can't go anywhere but up. So.
Unless I do the same next year. Yep.
That's great. So, all right, Nate. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
All right, so that was Nate, the owner of Alpha Legion. We have a very special presentation. Without further ado, I got to get into it. One of the owners, made a beautiful montage summing up the end of his season and especially summing up the end of the farm league. So straight up, let's just get into it. Okay, hold on. And then...
Racing Sports Network presents Rear View Replay with Roy Gage and Erica Dent.
Today we rewind to the historic finish at the Dynaco 400.
This one had me as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
With 1 lap to go, Lightning McQueen has a substantial lead.
Ooh-wee. I hope this ends well.
Now, I know we all love Lightning McQueen, Roy, but I see this as a classic example of a racer not taking the advice of his team.
I hear you, but when you're out there and you have those fans screaming your name, you feel the intense heat to win at all costs.
Checkered flag, here I come.
Did you see that? That's what happens when you don't listen to your pit crew.
But look at this. Not at the tire, but at this. We'll call this the before, the young and invincible Lightning. Look at the conviction in his eyes. Do you see it?
I see a refusal to pit.
And here, the after.
A racer who realized that he may have cost himself his lifelong dream.
Woo! I'm getting emotional. You can't imagine that fear that comes to mind when you feel the shimmy, realize you pushed yourself too far, and that your tire's about to pop.
You fool!
Someone needs anger management. Look at the tension here. I think I know who. This guy.
And who can blame him? At this point, Lightning is working with his 4th pit crew.
What's amazing here is he still manages to regain control.
The King and Chick are closing in, but the worst is yet to come.
Holy hubcaps! Another blown tire. It's just as devastating no matter how many times you see it.
I don't like his refusal to pit, but I admire his persistence. He never gives up. With 100 feet remaining in the coveted Piston Cup Championship,
Here they come, Erica. I can't believe this. He may lose this thing. You couldn't have drawn this up any better.
a never-before-seen
Three-way tie.
a photo finish.
I didn't see that coming.
Ooh, so close to winning, but without tires, he just can't make up the ground.
Thanks to Lightning's quick thinking, he was able to inch to the finish line.
I have to hand it to him, Roy. A little bit of improvisation saved his race.
Hey, no cameras! Get out of here!
Come in.
All right, fantasy football owners. I am here with the owner of the Quinnell Quicksand, Connor Pico. Welcome back to the show, Connor.
Yep, thanks for having me back, Jordan.
No problem. So we have a lot to talk about because you had an opportunity to be first in the league last week, and you just kind of collapsed. What happened?
Yeah, bad week to have a bad week. Put myself in an opportunity to give myself an opportunity to challenge for that top seed, chasing Tom down, and Tom was kind of stumbling towards the finish line, and I fell flat in my face there that final week, and it happens. You know, it was exciting. At least it came right down to the wire. I've been chasing him all year ever since I gave him his first loss. It seems like I've been chasing him and chasing respect too. He shows me 0 in the power rankings, so it's a tough loss, but we're looking to the playoffs now.
Yeah, speaking of playoffs, what are your chances looking like this year? You confident moving in?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some injuries to deal with, some COVID issues, but that's just part of the game. Playing Zach this week in the first round, Yoquero tackle Bell. We made a trade a couple weeks ago, Cordell for Hopkins straight up. I had some running back depth, and Hopkins has now been placed out for the season. So, I mean, I'm playing Cordell, and I hope he doesn't take me down, and, you know, that would haunt me. But I still like my team. I still like my chances. And, you know, you just got to win one week to get into the A. So that's the goal. That's the expectation. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Just 1 week at a time. But I mean, in all honesty, the strength of your team is your running backs. What do you think about your running backs moving forward? Because James Robinson kind of had a dud week last week.
James Robinson's had a couple duds in a row, but I think the coaching staff's there is just so all over the place. I think if they give him the ball a bunch, I think they're playing Detroit this week. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, they play Houston.
Houston. So poor team. Hopefully they hand him the ball, 20 plus times, and he can put some points up. I've had a 3-headed monster all year with Mixon, Jones, and Robinson, and all year I've relied on them to kind of carry me, and I'm hoping for the same here. Mixon's been unbelievable. Jones has been a little inconsistent, but he can still put points up. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they have a big week. And I need to do some fantasy GMing here to get my receivers on track.
Absolutely. It sucks that Odell's put on the COVID list because with Hopkins.
Fortunately, he is vaccinated, and hoping for, fingers crossed, for 2 negative tests here coming up. And I haven't heard anything today if he's asymptomatic or not, but I'm hoping, and and he's the deep threat on a really good team, so there's always a chance he only gets 1 or 2 targets a game, but it seems like they've been trying to feed him a bit. So I'm hoping that he's going to be healthy and ready to go. If not, I'm going to have to take a look at the waiver wire.
Yeah. I mean, look, Connor, honestly, I can't have you on the show without talking about power rankings.
Nope.
After you put out one in at the midway through the year, Tom has now come out with the super spreadsheet, like the power sheet.
Yeah. Tom's got formulas, and he's got all that, and it's been great. I've enjoyed it, but I completely disagree with it. So
I guess let's get to the obvious question. Where do you think you should fall in this power ranking?
Oh well, I was definitely top 2, top 3 all year, and I think when I was 7-1, 8-1 in 9 weeks, I thought that deserved a little bit more respect than 4th, barely above 5th. I thought he had Ty ranked pretty high all year. Ty really fell off there halfway through the season, and he got that good win against Papa T a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, one win's shouldn't be keeping you in the top there. Tom fell off too, but I mean, he had such a great start. He was high up. I think Papa T being at the top did make sense. But I'm behind Liam now in the power ranking, so I'm scratching my head a little bit at that. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you had a chance to move way up last week if you just didn't shit the bed.
Yeah, and I mean, Ricky had, I don't know if he was just playing the odds, but he had 2 zeros already on the board when we started the week, and I couldn't pull it out.
It's crazy.
My flex and my quarterback combined for, I think, less than 2 points. So Lamar going down, it really hurt. But I thought I had a chance going into the Sunday nighter with a few guys still left to play, but I just didn't get what I needed. So it is what it is. I had the chance to really move up, but I think even if I did win that week, Tom would have still dropped me in the power rankings. 7
It wouldn't have mattered.
7 spots I fell in the overall power rankings, Jordan. 7.
He's got a
7
vendetta.
spots.
Yeah, because Liam
me.
Leaped over everybody.
Yeah, he was sending me some messages personally, telling me I'm gonna stumble and some things. So I'm excited to. Hopefully he makes it through the first round. Well, I guess he's automatically in the semis, but I'll see him in the semis or the finals here soon, and I'll beat him again, just like I beat him give him his first loss there at 7-0.
just show him where he truly lies in these power rankings.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean the big one everyone's going on about Papa T and how great his team is, but he's overperformed all year. Jonathan Taylor's had a phenomenal year, but Indy's going to slow up here, so I see him falling off. I could actually see a couple upsets in the first round here.
I'm sorry, did you say Papa T overperformed?
I believe Papa T's overperformed all year. I don't see his team being as good as they are. That's
okay, all right.
The Quinnell Quicksand stands by that statement.
That's amazing. Well, I can't wait to watch you two battle it out in playoffs, because you've lined up now. You put a target on your back. Papa T, you talked smack a little bit about Zach and Tom.
Hey, listen, Papa T was talking smack about the quicksand when he was on, so I just wanted to send it back to him. But we'll see. I mean, listen, Alex came out last year in our league, the King of Chains League, and he came in as the last seed in the playoffs, getting in there, and he went on a run and won it all. So, not that I'm saying he's going to do that this year, but he's a GM. He's a former winner, so you never know what could happen there, right?
It's true. You only need to string in a couple wins together in the whole year.
That's all it's about. So, and if you string 7 in a row or 8 in a row, it doesn't do anything for your power rankings, apparently. So.
That's true. Yeah, because you kind of got the short end of the stick on this one.
Yeah, I think I'm playing. I think Zach's team's it's strong. I think he's got some good players, but I do see myself winning the match. I mean, I beat him twice in the regular season, but I think it was combined like 5 points spread in those 2 games. So it'll be close, but the expectation is that we move to the A next year and we win a championship this year in the B.
Sounds good. Those lofty goals. I'd love to hear it. I guess we'll wrap this up. Don't want to take up any more of your time. But who in I don't know if you've been following the championship league, but do you have an owner that you're pulling for?
Yeah, I mean, I since Omar came on, very confident on the show with that nice Hawaiian shirt he was wearing. He looked great. Always pulling for Omar. Um, Other than that, as long as Jake, I guess, doesn't win, I guess like, keep everyone happy.
When Jake
Um,
loses, we all win.
Yeah, I guess a non-Sterling would be great. I'll say that. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that. Um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the A. The A's been really tug of war all year with a bunch of the teams. It's been exciting to watch. So we'll see what happens. Daly's got a pretty good team. He could take it. As you said, though, right? You just got to string together a couple wins and you're there.
Yep. Yeah. And it's playoffs. Anything can happen. So, well.
Totally. And, an injury goes down like last week with me, Lamar, and, it can really change the tide. So.
Absolutely. And with COVID this week, it seems like every team is going to be struggling to get players.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the 10-man league, obviously we get a bit more talent on the roster, but I mean, we're really having to dive deep into the waiver wire this week, and I can't imagine the 14 team who guys are gonna have to pick up. A couple catches here and a couple catches there, it's really gonna make a difference. So we'll see. I expect the points will be a little bit lower all across the board, but we'll see. You got to adjust, right?
Yep. That's coaching decisions.
100%.
So, all right. Well, Connor, thank you so much for being on the show. We love having you. We really loved your power rankings. You kind of got the ball rolling, and
Yep.
It's been great having you in the league this year.
Yeah, well, it's been a lot of fun, and I mean, I've definitely listened to all the podcasts. Not agreed with any of them really, but I'm listening. So we appreciate what you've done this year, buddy.
Great, awesome. Thanks, Connor, and I'm sure we'll have you back on next week after your big win.
Yeah, no, I look forward to it, and I've got I'll be ready for the championship show when that comes around, and I'll clear my schedule.
Awesome. All right, thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to now present to you the weekly awards. And I'm a little sad because this is going to be one of the last weeks where I'm going to be able to give out like the full awards to everybody who's playing, because now we're just going to start having less and less games that are meaningful. So I know people are going to start dropping off, especially as soon as their playoff hopes are dashed. So we're going to do this right one last time, one real good kick at the can. So obviously we're going to start with the Shockwave Player of the Week. And no surprise, it's obviously Papa T, 170 points. Like, holy, this guy knows how to light it up. He's been electric all year and has just found different players, different combinations of players to put up staggering amounts of points. In all of my leagues that I've played, Papa T might be given a run for like the best team I think I've ever seen put together. Because every single week, he manages to like finesse his team into 150 plus points. So obviously he deserves our high voltage player of the week, and it's really without a question. So yeah, let's move into my of course we all know it's the
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
Idiot of the Week. And I got a doozy for this one because I got to go back with Papa O. Omar over here. He talks a big game. He wears fancy sunglasses. He wears cool shirts. But when it comes down to it, he loves starting guys who just don't play. And he started Mike Carter this week. And it wouldn't have helped him because Dan was a beast last week and just crushed Omar into oblivion. Omar has some guys on buys, but that wouldn't have helped because when you start a guy on the IR who is supposed to come back, he's supposed to come back this week, I think. Anyways, Omar, you definitely, I don't know what you were thinking, but it wasn't anything good. I don't know if there was thoughts up there. I don't know if you changed your lineup. I don't even know if you were paying attention. I hope you weren't, because that at least gives you an excuse for being so dumb. But turns out you're the
An idiot sandwich.
of the week. And of course, now we move into the. Oh, and look, guys, there's a bunch of teams that have been really good. My team's decent, but Dan could be up there because he got a win, and those don't happen very often. But realistically, it's Papa T. He has now proven week after week why he deserves to be in the top. Even though he lost, I think, the week before to Ty, he still put up 138 points. This man, in terms of points for, has just been unstoppable. And I think he definitely deserves the hot Flamin' Hot Cheetos Player of the Week, because he's really been the Flamin' Hot Cheetos Player of the season. If you just compare all the points for, he's like 200 points for above every other player in the league. And I mean, I'm not a math guy, but 200 divided by 15 is like he's scoring an extra 15 points over the second per week over the second best player, right? And obviously some math guy's gonna figure that out doing it on a calculator, but I was gonna type this in and figure it out, but whatever. He's just been crushing it. I've never seen someone with this big of a discrepancy against the rest of the league before, and he has earned every praise. I can't believe he didn't win the whole season, but hey, it is what it is. And so, lastly, we get to go into the Twitter chirp of the week. And I was looking through the Discord this week, and there was a lot of discussion. But the chirp of the week actually goes to the power rankings, because they absolutely just shit on some people this week. Ryman got roasted by them. Connor, roasted. Omar, roasted. Jake won his game and didn't move. He was a little ticked off. And I mean, Jake, you're sitting at 8, so I wouldn't complain too much. But look, there was some dudes who just got absolutely crunched. Mike, you dropped down into the second last. You are now technically worse than Dan in our league. Congratulations to Mike for taking up Dan's spot of last place. I know that there's a big game this week. I think actually Mike and Dan. Do Mike and Dan play each other? No, they don't. Dan plays. Sorry, I should look this up before I start talking about it. Oh yeah, Dan does play Mike. So this is the battle of the bottom. There's no other way to put it. I am filming this on Friday, so the Thursday game was done. I've had to do it. I've had to film a little bit every day because again, sick, so energy's not there. But yeah, Mike's he might win this. But love to see Dan come out. I love that Mike's now at the bottom of the power rankings. This is literally the battle of the 2 last place teams, and I can't wait to watch it. So that's all I'm gonna do for now. That's all the awards I'm gonna give out. I'm gonna have a whole another segment on and I'm gonna release it on Sunday, and that will just be a playoff edition, like a playoff special. We're gonna go through the games. We're gonna figure out the keys to victory for each player. We have some special guest appearances, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in this week. I've loved playing with you guys all season, even though you guys don't want to play with me because I'm too good at this game. Thanks for everybody for pitching in. I love to see that everybody's starting to contribute into this league and help build a culture. It's been really fun, and I've really loved being the voice. So great regular season. Now it's time to gear up for playoffs. So good luck to everybody in playoffs, especially those who are fighting for their championship dreams. The people who could be relegated and the people in the relegation league, all fighting for a spot to stay in the championship. So thanks guys. I love you all, and I will talk to you soon.